Okay, let's quickly go over a couple of things here. All right, so this essay is a historical essay, and it has a question: did the French Revolution achieve its goals? If you don't answer that, then you can't do well. Recap the event or the issue, the who, what, when, and where, and why. So in this, what you're going to be talking about in the introduction is essentially why did the French Revolution occur? So you would be talking about the Estates General. You would be talking about the way that the Third Estate broke off. You would be talking about how taxation was the issue. You would also be including something about the fact that the people of Paris rose up in July, and that the terror, the Great Terror, ended up happening. Right. That's the recap, and it's in France, and you should give me the year too. Okay. Now you want to write a sentence that explains the historical question. Well, the question is, how did the French Revolution achieve its goals? So what you would be doing here is explaining that there are goals, and you need to explain what those goals were. Next, you need to explain why people disagree about the dilemma. What this means is, okay, we have three estates, right? When the revolution happens, we have the Jacobins take over and they start slaughtering people, right? And then when Robespierre dies, or is killed, I should say, then the Girondists take over and they have their own purge. And then there's another government that comes in, and then there's another government comes in, and then there's another government that comes in, and then Napoleon comes in, right? So did these people all agree with each other? No, obviously not. They disagreed, and so you don't have to go into great detail about this, but you need to explain or just like pick one of the groups that is in opposition to the French Revolution, and then explain what that means. That's all you do there. Okay, it's short, simple, and to the point. And then you have to answer the historical question. You want to briefly describe why you think that they did or did not achieve their goal. So if you don't know what the goals are, you can't really do most of this. So as I did say in class repeatedly, pick the goals first. Okay. And if you really want some points, go talk to Charity Mans, because Charity Mans got it correct. Good on you, Charity. So you want to just answer, like, did it meet the goals or did it not? And explain why you think that. Okay. Now, the contextualizing paragraph, this is not the same thing as what you did up here in the recap. The contextualizing paragraph, this is where you're going to explain the historical context. This is where you would actually explain the different phases of the actual revolution, not the stuff that led up to the revolution. Okay, so you wouldn't be talking about like the Third Estate and stuff like that. It would be like essentially the storming of the Bastille, the march on Versailles, the flight to Viennes. That's where the king tried to flee. Right. When he comes back, he is made to sign the Constitution, which limited him. Like he becomes a limited monarch. Right. But then when the Jacobins take over, they remember because there's a coup. I did talk about that. It's like very important, where they march on the not Versailles but the palace inside of Paris, and then he ends up getting his head cut off, and then that's when the terror starts. And you don't have to go. It does not have to be really really long. It could be about 5 paragraphs total. What I would be expecting though in the contextualizing paragraph is you don't already know this stuff. So when you are using or when you're formulating your paragraph, this is where you would be putting in footnotes. Okay, they are using my slides, my lecture to help you write this. Now it says provide a brief narrative. All that means is that this thing that you're doing, this contextualizing paragraph, it should be brief. It does not need to be, a page long. It should be brief. Like I said, 5 sentences. Now you're going to have 3 supporting paragraphs. Provide your strongest reason that supports your argument, then your second strongest, and then your third strongest. But what you have to do is you have to provide a quote that will convince me that your argument is valid. Okay, you have to explain to me why did you pick this quote? Why does this quote support you? When it says explain that your judgment to the author's reliability. Okay, so I've been teaching since 2006. I have a degree in history. I have a bachelor's degree in history from the University of Michigan, and I have a master's degree in social science with a discipline in history. You can just write master's degree. And also from the University of Michigan. Okay, I provided you with the presentation, and that means that you can check the sources. You can check the you can verify anything that I've provided to you: dates, times, places, names, all that stuff. That's the reliability. If I didn't give you any of those things, then you would just have to take my word for it, and that's not what I've done. So you'll do that 3 times. Now your rebuttal is your strongest reason that goes against your argument. Now, if you pick the rise of Napoleon, it's totally fine. I think that's a valid rebuttal, honestly, and you wanted to use something from the Napoleon presentation, that's totally fine and legit. But remember, you can't use IBID now. You'd have to do the citation for that particular presentation. If you wanted to just stick with the current presentation, which mentions Napoleon, that's fine too. But again, you need to select a quote that explains your perspective. Like, why is it that your view that this thing, this reason you've given, rebuts the other three supports? It has to be done. And then you also have to explain your judgment of, again, my reliability. And really, this shouldn't be any different from the last three. So, you're going to use the same sentence 4 times, and that's on purpose. The thing of it is when you're using these quotations, you have to do citation. So you have to have at least 4 citations, and you really should have closer to 7 to 8. The last thing is your recap. And again, the recap is the issue or the event. So the recap is going to be, 1, 2, maybe 3 sentences. That's just about like the French Revolution in general, just short, sweet, and to the point. That doesn't mean it's got to be this tiny as a sentence. I mean, it might be multiple. It might be a couple of lines of a sentence, but just keep it short and sweet. Then you want to explain to me, the reader, why I should choose your perspective that it met or did not meet the goals. Okay, you want to be able to convince me, and it's not just because because I've written these things, you should believe me. You want to add something to it, like what is it about your particular perspective or your argument rather, or reason that is more valid than your rebuttal. Okay. Now this third part says connect your answer to what happened or is happening in the historical context. As long as you're talking about the French Revolution in your conclusion, you're good. But not everybody did. Some people started going off on Napoleon Bonaparte, right? This isn't a Napoleon Bonaparte essay. This is a French Revolution essay. So 3 is there to just help focus you as to what to do. Lastly, I told you that this paper needs to be in Chicago style. Some of you don't know what that means, and you didn't bother to look it up. So, first off, you want to have your title somewhere in like the top third of the page. Okay, so around here, not up here, but here, not in the middle. It's got to be above that. It should not be bold. Okay, it shouldn't be italicized. There's no, they call it ornamentation. None of that should be there. Okay, you want to have your name, and then the class name, and then my name, and then the date. Okay. Notice, are these double spaced? No. Okay. You want to make sure that this is indented, right? You hit tab. Make sure that the first page is not the cover page, but the first page is the first page that has your page numbers. And notice it is page 1. It is not page 2. Okay. When you do your citation, that's what the site is down here, your footnotes. It's still the same size text as up here. This is times New Romans 12, and this should be times New Romans 12. Okay, that's what I want. That's how I expect it. When you use the word ibid, meaning you're using the same source again, it's IBID, but notice it's lowercase, but it's IBID, period, comma, space, the slide that you use, or multiple slides that you use, and then you have to end it in a period. Okay, almost universally that was done incorrectly. So you want to go back and you want to make those changes. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so get that stuff done. You've got until tomorrow to get it turned in, and I will see you guys then. Bye.